Hello, and welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program where we speak about the situation of the suffering church around the world. Today we're going to talk about a growing crisis in Ethiopia, not one born from within the country, but rather a crisis forced upon it by the political instability of her neighbors. South Sudan has been in the grip of a civil war for almost 6 years. The UNHCR calculates that over 2 million people have fled for neighbouring countries. One of these countries is Ethiopia, with refugees flowing into the country from South Sudan, Eritrea and Somalia. Ethiopia, after Uganda, has now become Africa's second largest refugee hosting country, accepting over 900,000 refugees. The Gambella refugee camp is one of the largest in Ethiopia, located just 50 kilometres from the South Sudanese border. It shelters over 420,000 refugees from South Sudan. The situation for these refugees is dire. Separated from families, facing no long-term settlement options, a lack of educational and social services, and an uncertainty about the future causes frustration, depression, and addiction. Unable to work, young people wait for years for money to come from relatives with which to try to continue their trip through Sudan, Egypt, and Libya, and finally to Europe, very often risking their lives. The old and infirm often remain abandoned in the camps. Father Tesfaya Petros, an Ethiopian Catholic priest, visits Gambella every day. In fact, he lives there, seeking to bring consolation and pastoral care to the refugees. To tell us more about the situation, it's my great privilege to welcome Father Tesfaya Petros, the vicar-general of the diocese of Gambella, Ethiopia. Father Petros, thank you for being with us here today on our program.
Thank you, Mark, for being here with you and to have this opportunity for the interview.
Father, you were born in Gambo, which is in another region of Ethiopia, and yet you found your way to Gambella, the largest refugee camp in Ethiopia. How did you first come to Gambella, and what was it that inspired you to come there?
Yes, I was born in southeast of Ethiopia. From the very beginning, when I was a seminarian, I heard about the negative side of Gambella because of the weather, because of the conflict, because of malaria. But when I heard that no one wanted to go there, and I decided to go to this place where there is many challenges and where people were not considered as a human being, and they are considered outcasted, unprivileged people. But I decided to go there and to serve them and to give my life for these people.
Father, can you tell us a little bit, how would you describe the situation today in the Gambella refugee camp? You have 420,000 refugees in one hot, malaria, low-lying area in Ethiopia.
Yes, for me, you know, most of the time also I speak to the refugees. To have them, for me, is a blessing in Gambella region. And especially when I see the faith which they have, whenever we are having a program, the refugees are singing, dancing, and really it's a kind of witness for me. And without any complaint, they are living with that situation. And they are always thanking God to be there. But the situation is not easy to live there in the camp. And many children, many women, many young boys, and waiting for many years there. But they are happy, even if they are facing many challenges.
Father, can you give us a little bit about the political context? What's driving this huge amount of refugees into the Gambella camp in Ethiopia?
Yeah, as you know, you knew that Gambella is a border to South Sudan. That is the nearest country for Gambella, South Sudan, and the majority of the people are from the tribe of Nuer, 99%. There are South Sudanese Nuer as well as Ethiopian Nuer. And these people left their country because of the peace situation of the country. As you knew that the problem between the president and the vice president. Because of that, these 420,000 people, they left their country because of the two people. But it's very sad for me. Even sometimes I am trying to have a dialogue with the refugees. Because of this, many remain on the road. Many children, even they saw while the mother, while the father are dying on the road because of lack of food, because of the strength to reach to Ethiopia. But when they arrived in Gambella, they are welcomed by the people and they are very happy. They consider as their own home. Because we Ethiopians, we received the refugees because we are the first country who received the refugees when the Prophet Muhammad sent his people, go to a Christian country where the king receives you. So because of that tradition, we accept refugees.
And you have historically done so. Now, Father, you've mentioned the Nuer, and now the situation in South Sudan, as we know, is the vice president and the fight with the president.
Yeah.
One is Dinka, the other is Nuer.
Yeah.
The Nuer are coming to you. Is this causing tensions now, also ethnic tensions? Because there is another ethnic group, the Anuak, I believe, in your area. And what is the challenge of the ethnic challenges, if you will, the tensions? And how do you manage this question?
Yeah, you know, the tension is there. Even there is a conflict between the two tribes, Nuer and the Anuak. Even there are Ethiopians and Nuer. So you cannot differentiate Nuer from South Sudan from Ethiopia.
So you have both, the tribe is spanning over the borders between Ethiopia and South Sudan.
Yeah, so the Nuer are becoming the majority, and they settled on the land of the Anuak. So the Anuak are becoming the minority. So there is a kind of tension, and also conflict is there.
Violence.
Yeah, so the reason is that the Anuak are thinking that the land is taken by the Nuer people.
And that they're going to settle there and live there.
Yeah, so to some extent, also I'm in favor of, I support the ideas because all the refugee camp is located on the land of the Anuak. So the Anuak are now becoming the minority, the Nuer are the majority. So because of this, there is a tension among the people. Sometimes there is killing. But as a church, as a Catholic church, we are trying to involve to create peace among both, because the Catholic Church is the only church which unites the people in Gambella. The other churches are divided according to the tribe. But we are the only one who are bringing all the tribes, the local people, the refugees, and also some people from the other part of the country. They come together. And
you're respected. The church, the Catholic Church is respected, I suppose, because of all the services that you do.
Yeah. The Catholic Church, the many people, they have a positive idea about the Catholic Church because the Catholic Church is doing without any segregation of tribes or rich or poor, something like that. We are for all. We are among the Nuer, we are among the Anuak, we are among the Highlanders, even the minority, there are Como and the Opo, the minority tribes, even the Majang, that is the tribe. So the Catholic Church is giving, beside the pastoral, also development activities for the people.
I want to come to the practical work, the development work that you're doing, but just a quick step back. You mentioned that 99% of these refugees are coming from Sudan, South Sudan, and 38% of South Sudanese are Catholics, and even more are Christian. So the majority of these refugees, are they Christians coming into the camp? Yeah,
the majority of the refugees are Christians, Catholics, Anglican, some Presbyterian churches, and a few, even you maybe counted, Muslims are there.
But they're the minority.
They're the minority, but they are living peacefully. And as a church, the Catholic Church is giving a service, even in the camp. We support them for education, building the school in collaboration with Catholic Relief Service, CRS, and also building a chapel for the people in the refugee camp. There are, whenever they are in need of some pastoral needs, we are there for them.
One step back again, you mentioned people dying on the road. What is the majority of the population of the people coming into the camp? Are they women and children because the men have either been killed in the war or somehow are stayed back?
Yeah, the majority of them are women, the children. And the men, as you mentioned, some of them, they are on fighting. Some died on the road, but the majority of them are women, the children.
What kind of practical support? You mentioned already education is one of the services that you are providing, but what is the church doing in terms of practical support, and how do you manage with these 420,000 people to provide all of the different services that you do?
Yeah, most of the things the refugees are receiving is from the UNHCR, and also there are many organizations. There are, I think, more than 42 different organizations from different parts of the world. And as a Catholic Church, we are supporting pastorally, and practically when they are in big problem of health, we bring them to the Mission of Charity, where the Sisters of Mother Teresa are giving a service. And also when they are in need of help for going to the university, something like that, we support them. And the other things also, sometimes they are asking us some materials for school, for clothing, something like that. And as much as we can, we support them, because we are also approaching to church in need, Missio, different people from Germany. And we are getting a positive answer from them.
So the focus would be schools, for example, educational facilities. How many young people would you have in a given classroom, for example?
Yeah, in the refugee camp, the schools are well organized because of the support of different organizations. And from 60 up to 65 students you can see in
one classroom.
Yeah.
In one classroom.
Yeah.
And health services. I suppose malaria, you mentioned, is one of the big illnesses. What other illnesses does camp life engender?
Yeah, most of the time, since Gambella is a malaria area, most of the people, they suffer with malaria. And the health facility also in the camp is well organized because of the different organizations. And even if they are not able to be treated in the camp, they will be sent to different hospitals. Even nearby Gambella town, there is a big hospital. Even that is another burden for the local people, because the refugees are also sent to that hospital. And if even more than that, they can be sent to another referral hospital when there is a problem. So the situation in the camp, even if there is a challenge, there is a good situation of support from different organizations.
Now you mentioned pastoral, the building of a chapel. How important is a chapel to camp life?
Yeah, when the refugee they arrived to Gambella, the first questions they asked us about the church. They didn't ask us any support. Also, that is for us impressing when we were asked by the refugee, a church, they should ask us other things.
Yes, like food or...
But as I mentioned in the beginning, for me to be with the refugees, it renewed my faith. And we didn't give them answer immediately, because also our help depends on the donors. So we asked Church in Need, we got immediately the answer, and we built a chapel in different camps. So the people are very happy to have that one. Even not only the chapel, also in the chapel you need the benches, the altars, these kind of things.
Yes.
We are supported by Church in Need, and that's a great thing for them.
And for the people, it's a source of hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, these people, I don't know, they don't hope anything, but as a Christians, you'll see a life in the refugee camp. Even as I mentioned for you, I am surprised sometimes. Who is going to be happy when you are a refugee? Because you are suffering many things. But this one, even most of the time, they don't have anything to spend their time. They are in the church praying, dancing, singing, these kind of things you can see. When we go for Mass, the Mass takes 3 hours, 4 hours. So you have to be patient to be there, because they sing, they pray. So this is the life of the refugee camp. And in all the refugee camp, we are giving the same service, and we appointed 4 priests working there.
Father, the Mass, the Holy Mass, and the presence of the Church seems to be a light in what is otherwise a pretty desperate situation. Would you say that the enemy number one is despair in the camps? Or what would you say is the greatest weight upon the people?
Yeah, you know, the situation there in the camp, even so most of the time they are not allowed also to go out of the camp. So the only thing, as you mentioned, that there is despair also there, but the only thing that if there is no that chapel or that church there, for them, you know, a little bit ignored or outcasted people, they consider themselves as like that. But having that chapel even is a witness from themselves that having that chapel, and they are every day, the children are there, the youth are there, the women are there, praying together, and sharing together, Bible sharing together. And if there is no that kind of things, really, they might face many problems. But they are hoping that one day they want to go back to their country.
Leads me to my next question. You mentioned going back to their home country, but many young people, in fact, want to head onwards, Egypt, Libya, to Europe. How do you counsel a young person who wants to undertake this very dangerous journey where, as we know, many of these, unfortunately, have died on their way, either in the desert or in the Mediterranean? How do you counsel a young person who says, Father, my hope, my future lies in Europe?
Yeah, but you know, as a priest, also as a pastor, I am trying to console them or to counsel, to give a counseling, to show the directions, because many people are facing many problems in the Mediterranean. And some people, they say that, no, it's better for me to die in the Mediterranean than dying here. But it takes time, of course. When you don't have any hope, people are hoping to go to Europe, and they think that every problem will be solved when you reach in Europe. But even from my practical point of view, since I am coming every year, I am giving a witness for them, the life situation. Even I'm telling them always, just you have to be grateful to be here than to be in Europe, because you don't know. To reach Europe, you cannot fly. As a refugee, you have to go through different directions. So I am giving them my practical example where after my visit. For example, now I am leaving next week. The other Sunday, I will be in the refugee camp. That will be a good witness for me, to give them a good witness about the situation of Europe. Also, you know, the mentality of people that as soon as you arrive in Europe, everything will be solved. That is the bad mentality which our youth have in the refugee camp as well as outside of the refugee camp. So they need special education and a special advice. If not, they will tell you, rather than dying here, let me die in the Mediterranean. There are many people who are telling me like that. But after some times, they come to know about the situation, and they will say that, Father, now I don't have this idea of going out of the country.
But it's difficult because, if I understand correctly, often a village will even gather money and give a young, strong man, because that young man will become perhaps the hope of the village when he reaches Europe, that he sends remittances back to that village and will support them. So there's a lot of social pressure that you also have to counteract.
Yeah, but you know, most of the time, the people, even the refugees, also the local people, they have a good respect for the priest, and they listen. And we try to save many people, many young people, having a meeting with the youth, because, you know, we have a communication with the people and with the youth. We have a program for the youth. We propagate or we teach these kind of things, but we cannot keep silent. You cannot fly on the air. Simply to preach something which is on the air is not good. But you have to come to the practical thing, and the people, when you teach them the practical thing, they will accept you. Yeah, of course, there is this mentality, let me go out of the country and everything will be solved, and tomorrow I will send money for my family, my friends, something like that. But this should be avoided. How? You have to teach your people. You have to organize them. And you have to show them the way.
And to see that they have a future in their own country.
Yeah.
Father, in some ways, the refugee camp has been so successful in terms of healthcare and education and services that some of the impoverished, poor Ethiopians are knocking at your door to enter the camp because they say, well, why do they get, the refugees get all the good benefits and I have no money, I have no education. I also want to come into the camp and live in the camp. What is the situation and how do you manage that question?
The life of the refugee is better than the local people. So some of our villages, they join, even people from our villages, they join the refugee camp because you get food freely, education, health. So what you need more than this? So especially you don't differentiate the South Sudanese Nuer and the Ethiopian Nuer. So sometimes, you know, in the morning they are in the camp, in the afternoon in the town. So you don't differentiate. Because of what? Because there is a comfortable life to be in the refugee camp than outside. So even maybe you might come to the question of that, the arrival of the refugee, I can see in two sides. In the one side is a blessing for us as a church to have them there. At the same time, if you see in the other directions, also the arrival of the refugee also create a tension. Even life became expensive. We cannot compete with international organizations and the high price of food. Even those who benefited from the arrival of the refugee are the rich people. If you have a house, you can give a good rent. But the poor, the local poor, they are not the beneficiary from that. So for me, sometimes also when you see these situations,
you see the shadow as well.
Yeah, yeah. So as an individual priest,
what can you do?
Yeah.
You have to do what you can do in front of you.
Yeah.
Father, you said this is your vocation, but I must say you are confronted every day with the misery of people arriving at your door, women and children, as you've mentioned, and many people. How do you keep your faith? How do you keep your hope in an environment which seems to be at sometimes so desperate?
For me, you know, next to God, I thank the generous people. And always I am saying that for the people, if you do for the poor, God will reward you. So in different direction, I am getting a support. Even as a Catholic Church also, we are supporting people, especially the needy ones, the children and the women. Let me tell you an example. As a priest, we are going to the village by car. Also, we are working as an ambulance. So coming back, our car might take from 10 up to 15 people to the hospital. I mean, to the Mother Teresa sisters. They will stay there, they will be treated, and they go back. Of course, sometimes this is a challenge for my faith, but God is always strengthening me. When you see people are dying, even sometimes I am saying that if I am not able to help people, I should not be there. I should have to go out. But God is always supporting me in different directions, and I am available for the people. Let me tell you an example. Sometimes we are called at the midnight in the village. If someone is bitten by a snake, you have to reach for him. Maybe you have to drive from 45 up to 70 kilometers at the midnight, where it is not secured. But we are going not for our mission, for the mission of God. So we bring it back to the hospital and you save a life. That makes you happy when you are saving the life of someone. The one who is in coma, the one who is in danger. I am happy for that. Because of that, I gave my life.
Yes, you did. Father, what is it that we can do to help? How can we help you?
Yes, that is a good question. And, you know, until now, because of the generous people and the donors, we reached this time. If you are not beside us, we will not do anything. So first of all, I would like to thank those who helped us until now. And those who want to help us, really we need a help to support the refugees as well as the local people, especially in educating the young ones to remain in their country. If they are educated, if they are supported, they will not go out of the country. That's the first thing. The other thing, in pastoral, we have to train our people, especially to be a good citizen, to be a good Christians, and to be a witness for the others. And we need a God-fearing people. If not, I don't know, if a country, if a citizen, if they don't fear God, for that country. As an Ethiopian, we believe that if you are a God-fearing person, you are happy in your life. So we need a support in the pastoral side as well in the development, especially in the pastoral. We are opening a church. Our area is a fertile land. Regarding the land, it's a fertile land, as well as for evangelization. We are asked by people. They are coming to ask us, we wanted to be Catholic. We wanted to be Christian. So please come to my village. So sometimes we are very difficult to respond because we don't have many priests. And also I will be happy if you are able to help us in sending missionaries to my area. And we are asking people to come and to support us as a volunteer, as a missionary. The door of Gambella is open. So pastorally speaking, we need people to be there. Religious sisters, we have only missionary of charity, and we are trying to communicate to different congregation of sisters to come and serve the poorest of the poor. There are many poor people, those who are looking for God. So I hope those who are coming, even with 16 years, I received many guests from different countries. Most of them, they return back, they were touched by the situation of Gambella, and they were very happy to see Gambella, and they enjoy, even if they stayed for 7 days, 6 days, they are very happy. So pastorally speaking, we need a support from people who are generous, and those who want to come as a missionary.
You
please,
would welcome them.
Yeah, we want to receive them in open hand.
You would even give them a bed sheet.
Yes.
Father Petros, thank you for having been with us today in our program.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today in our program, Where God Weeps. And if you'd like to know more about the work of Father Petros in the Gambella refugee camp, or perhaps how you might be able to help, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. We look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.